Hi all, in this video we're going to be looking at why should chartered accountants choose to do an MBA. Let's rephrase this question. Let's go one step earlier. Should chartered accountants choose to do an MBA? Let's answer that first. Right? Having acquired a qualification, which is not that easy to come by, right? The pass percentage, the qualification percentage in chartered accounting is less than 1%. Having got something as prized as that, does it make sense to go for one more degree, that to an MBA? Is it worth the time, effort, money? Does it make ROI sense? Let's look at that. What drives people? The primary reasons that the chartered accountants who have chosen to do an MBA, what made them choose that path? I'm here to tell you that story. If you buy into that MBA dream and you plan to walk that path, I also want to leave you with points that you need to watch out for. It's not necessarily a walk in the park. There are things that you'll have to watch out for before you embark in that journey. Let's get started with the key points. The first point, there are 4 reasons that people choose to do an MBA despite having a prized qualification as chartered accounting. The first reason is the growth story, to make sure that their career does not hit a glass ceiling soon enough. Why is it so? By virtue of you being a chartered accountant, you guys are super specialists, which essentially means that you know a lot about audit, you know a lot about tax law, you know a lot about taxation, you know a lot about advisory, which essentially means for a super specialist, you know so much about one area, which is why you are what you are. And that's what makes you guys so good at that. But there's a flip side to every coin. If you have to hit the CXO suit of an organization, which is probably not the big 4, which is a wider range organization, it could be a Unilever, it could be a banking company, it could be an investment banking outfit. In those places, if you have to hit the CEO, CXO kind of a role, then your perspective needs to be wider than these particular specialist area that you have worked on. How do you acquire those things? There's no systematic way of acquiring it in any degree other than an MBA. MBA provides you with all of the other inputs which shape you into donning the role despite being a specialist from one domain. So you'll know a lot about audit, but along the way, as an MBA, you would have acquired those other skills and knowledge that it would enable you to acquire that CEO role a lot more easily. So growth story is the primary thing. As a subset to that particular point, one of the things, how does an MBA enable this? It's not just that the subjects in MBA are wider range subjects, right? MBA obviously teaches you finance, teaches you marketing, teaches you operations, teaches you HR, a wide range of things that a business requires. It teaches you all of that. It is not just the subjects, as I mentioned. What an MBA also does is the way it makes it available, the knowledge available to you is also wide ranged. Not all schools teach all of the topics in a uniform fashion. There will be certain subjects where you'll be learning it through case study. There will be other subjects where you'll be learning it through a project. There are some subjects which you'll be learning through a term paper, and others where you'll actually be learning through a very systematic professor-taught method, which is a very textbook approach. So the subjects that you learn in a business school, they're taught from a wide range of domain, and they're taught in a wide variety of way. And you also learn with people who are from different dimensions, right? What do I mean by that? When you're preparing for your CA, all of those who prepared for CA had one focus in mind, which is audit, tax. So unidimensional focus is what your peer group was. Here a peer group could be someone who's from Nigeria, who's worked for the government in Nigeria, or someone who is a tax consultant in India, or another person who's an IT professional who graduated from Georgia Tech and is working in Seattle. So your peer group also comes from multiple dimensions. There are people from government, people from hospital industry, people from hospitality industry, people from transport sector, people from public utilities. So you learn as much from your peers as you learn from the professors and the curriculum. So an MBA helps you grow on account of one, curriculum, pedagogy, and the peer group, and the network that it brings with it. Because the network is so wide, you can open doors in multiple places, which may not be possible with a degree which is a very focused qualification that you have. So growth story is the first story. Second one, why people choose to do this. It basically enables you to find jobs in domains which are outside of what you're right now working on. If you want to, let's say, shift within finance itself, moving out of audit, moving out of taxation into things like managing treasury, into investment banking, into mergers and acquisition in investment banking, into roles which are corporate finance roles in large corporates. Those are things that are probably close to you despite having a very focused finance degree. An MBA in finance probably will open doors to that. So if you want to shift within the realms of finance to handling other responsibilities, you probably need an MBA. If you haven't done 10 years as a chartered accountant, if you've done only probably 2 or 3 years post-qualification, you can even shift purely, completely out of finance. I'm not saying you should shift out of finance, but for example, you say that I'm done with finance. I've had enough of finance. I want to move into marketing. I want to move into, let's say, data analytics. An MBA basically will help you move from finance into these domains. So basically, to look at either cross-function or cross-industry switch, an MBA helps you get there. The third reason why people get in and do this MBA is this. Your chartered accounting degree is a very valuable degree in the context of India. It probably also makes sense in certain places like the Middle East, Africa and other places. But this chartered accountant degree, value for value, is not going to be valued the same way, let's say in North America or in Europe. You either need to acquire an equivalent qualification if you want to be in the same domain, or you need to look at some degree that's going to open doors for you to find a job in those places. Instead of going in for this, if you want to actually switch domains and a country, an MBA is probably the only route to do this. An MBA outside India is going to open doors to jobs, one, outside this geography of India in North America and Europe, and is also probably going to open doors into domains which are either within the finance realm or outside the finance realm. Lastly, but it's equally an important point, as a specialist in finance, you guys have done cost accounting, financial accounting, you have done financial management, you know the ratios, quick ratios, asset ratio, whatever. Long time back, I've read all of this in my MBA. All of those, you guys have seen it in probably 30, 40 companies that you have audited. So finance is in your pocket. If I can basically put this MBA degree into 4 silos, one of them is finance, one of them is marketing, the other one is the quant-oriented ones, which includes tech, operations management, production management kind of stuff, and the other areas which are the soft skill ones and a little bit of economics, things like personal management, HR, economics, all of them in one particular area. You guys have done 1/4, you have done one silo related to finance. If you choose to specialize in finance, which typically comes in the second year, a good lot of what you have done in chartered accounting is basically going to be revised for you in MBA. So how much you have to learn in terms of new things is going to be that much lesser, which means you can focus your efforts into building your network, into networking with companies and look for a good job. So done a lot of work already. So clearing another degree is going to be that much easier for you. So 4 reasons why people look at an MBA post or CA. 1, the growth story. You can really aspire to get into roles which are CXO roles outside of the big 4. Second, if you want to shift job within the finance realms or you want to shift domains completely out of finance, it's going to help you. Third, if you're going to look for a shift to geography, which is let's say in North America or in Europe, you cannot do with this CA degree. You need something more. An MBA basically helps you there. And lastly, we've done a lot of work as part of the CA. So at least 1/4 of it is done. If you plan to do something like a finance and marketing major in a business school, finance is covered for you. You just need to work on marketing. If you've done finance and you want to do data analytics is the only thing that you need to focus in a business school, because finance is something you've done in-depth study as part of your chartered accounting. Right? So we covered the reasons. As I mentioned, I also want you to watch out for certain factors. First and foremost thing, some of you guys are real whiz kids. You probably would not have even done a degree. You would have just got a chartered accounting qualification as you are 19 or 20 directly. It's a phenomenal thing. The big 4s would have just been waiting to grab you and would have given you like plum positions in your organization. You're really good, no doubt at all. But when you're applying to business schools outside India, they have a requirement that you should have a 12+3 or a 12+4 qualification. Figure out if there's a way that between now, when you have just joined one of these big 4s, having qualified as a chartered accountant, and applying to a business school, which is probably 2 or 3 years from this point in time, you can acquire that degree, you can get that 12+3. There are some schools which are very particular about having this 12+4. If that school is in your consideration set, then look at a 12+3 plus something else. You might probably want to do a BCom and an MCom. It actually doesn't make sense at all. If you're a chartered accounting professional, whatever you have learned in chartered accounting, it's like picking a famous cardiac surgeon and asking him to find out whether he can actually bandage my little finger, right? That kind of an exercise. You've done a chartered accounting. So going back to BCom and MCom doesn't make sense, but you need to get those qualifications to be able to apply to these business schools. So check that out. If in your consideration set, 12+4 schools are a key set of schools that you're planning to apply to, then get that 12+3+2. That is necessary. Don't find yourself wanting on the day that you're applying. Be ready for it by the time you're ready to apply. Second thing I want to leave you with is chartered accounting is a very difficult course to complete. So I know chartered accountants are used to working hard. There's no doubt at all. But when you are doing your chartered accounting, be it inter, be it final, as an article clerk, your employer, the chartered accounting firm with which you did the articleship, very well knew that come month of May, come month of November, you guys will be writing your CA examinations. So they reduce the workload for you. Some of them even let you take leave to prepare for this. So you had a lot of time to prepare for such an examination. Having qualified with 1 to 3 years of experience, when you're writing your GMAT, you've acquired positions of responsibility, which is very different from what it was when you were an article clerk. So now you have to do work, you have to balance it with your life, and you also need to find time to prepare for something which is probably at least half as difficult as what a CA preparation required, which means that don't take it lightly. Because you could do a CA, when you did a CA, you are a different person. When you're trying to do a GMAT, you're a very different person. GMAT has different things that you'll have to prepare for. Get equipped for it. It's not very difficult, but I want you to be aware of it and budget for it. You need a 300-hour plus preparation to get a 700 plus GMAT score. A 700 plus GMAT score is going to help you knock doors at the top business schools. Having got a CA qualification, it doesn't make sense to go for schools which are not the top end of the schools. So the 300-hour preparation, if you think that you can clock only 10 hours in a week, budget for a 30-week. If you can clock 20 hours a week, then you can probably complete it in 15 weeks. So do your math, check out how much free time you have and how much quality time you can invest in GMAT. Third thing I want to leave you with, a lot of people, even today I had someone who wrote to me from a different organization, not a chartered accountant, an engineer, but it works even in the case of a articleship of chartered accountants. You do about 2 to 3 years of articleship as part of a chartered accounting degree or chartered accounting qualification. When you apply to business schools, typically the top business schools will require their candidates to have anything from 36 months to about 60 or 72 months of experience. Anything from 3 to 7 years is a sweet spot when you apply to a business school. The time that you spent as an article clerk is considered by business schools as part of your curriculum requirement to complete that qualification. So that is not included into your work experience. Post-qualification experience is the only thing that they consider. So if you have 3 years of article experience and you have just 1 year in a big four on some other audit firm, don't think that you have 4 years and you're ready to apply. Write to the business schools. Many of them will say they don't consider this, in which case you need to apply probably a couple of years later. So what are the 3 points to watch out for? Check out whether you have a 12 plus 3 or 12 plus 4 or a 12 plus 3 plus 2. If it's a 12 plus 4 that a school requires and that's a key school that you are planning to apply to, then acquire a plus 2 in the form of 12 plus BCom plus an MCom so that you don't find yourself wanting. Second thing is the amount of time that you're required to prepare. It's not a walk in the park. You need about 300 hours to do justice to it. So plan it accordingly. So if it's going to take you 30 weeks, plan ahead and work towards it. Third, articleship time is generally not counted towards your final experience. Right? Best wishes for your GMAT preparation and your MBA journey. Makes a lot of sense. The ROI is good and the career progression is wonderful.